Hello, in this video I'm gonna show you the first thing that we need to do on our Motorola Moto G04 or G04s, and that are recommended or universal for most of Android devices. So the first thing that we need to do is connect to Wi-Fi. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So first we're gonna open all the apps, and of course we need to find settings. So let's open the settings, and then we need to go to network and internet. Over here we can tap on Wi-Fi. And of course over here we will find a bunch of different networks. We can choose our network, of course, as long as we have Wi-Fi at home. And once we tap, we need to enter the password and then press the connect button in order to connect to our Wi-Fi. This is of course recommended in order to proceed with other steps, including signing into the Google account. So let's now go back. Once you connected to Wi-Fi, we need to go back to the settings menu, and then we can scroll down to find Google. Now let's tap Google. Over here we have sign in to your Google account. So we're gonna either create a new Google account or we're gonna use our existing one. Depends on your situation. So if you already have Google account, then you can just enter your email or phone and then enter the password in order to proceed and sign in. If not, then we can press the create account button or text over here in order to create a new Google account. So let me quickly sign in. After we sign in, we need to agree to terms of service. So let's do that. And after a few seconds, now we have backup and sync device contacts. So if we want to make sure that we have a backup in case something happens, in order to not lose our contacts, or if we, for instance, change our smartphone in the future. So we're gonna turn them on. Then we might be suggested to add a recovery email or something, but we don't have to do that right now. We don't have to worry about it right now. Then we have, once again, backup services. So we're gonna accept them. And we have signed into our Google account. So now we can go back. And of course, Google account is used for many things, like the Play Store, or even sometimes the system updates. We might be required to have Google account. So it is of course recommended to have our own Google account in order to not be limited and have access to many other applications or apps. So after that, we can make sure that we have system updates downloaded and installed, that we have our system up to date. And below Google, we should find the system update. So let's go over here. And we can tap on check for updates in order to see if everything is up to date. So if you just configured your smartphone, there's a high chance that you already have everything up to date, and you don't have to download or install anything by yourself. And of course, it is also recommended to make sure that these smart updates are enabled. If they are disabled, so let's turn it off for a second. If they are disabled, you can tap on the slider in order to enable the smart updates, so that when there is an update, the smartphone will prepare the update by itself. So you don't have to do that manually. So let's do that. Then we can go back. And let's go back once again to the settings. So most of the time when we do the first configuration, in the settings at the top, we have setup in progress, where it says just a few more steps. So we're gonna tap over here in case, of course, you have this option in the settings. You might also have it in notifications. So if you scroll down, then over here we have the setup in progress, and we can tap to finish setting up. This is the same thing. So we're gonna tap over here in order to do what the smartphone is suggesting us. So let's start. And then let's see what we will have. So we can copy your data. So you can keep setting up your smartphone during the transfer. If you want to, then you can press next and then follow the instructions in order to copy all your data. If not, then of course we can choose don't copy. And then we can confirm that we don't want to copy anything. We can proceed. Now over here, we will find the list of search engines that we can choose from. And of course, this is up to personal preference. However, the most popular is of course Google. So we can tap Google and then press next. Now we have a pin, so if you didn't set up a pin yet, then you can do that. Or you can just skip if you don't want to set up the pin yet. And we also have screen lock options, so we can press screen lock options text in order to choose pattern, pin, or password. So it's up to you which one you prefer the most. I'm gonna set up a basic pin code for now, and then re-enter the pin. And there we go. Now we can also set up the fingerprint. So you can press the setup button and then follow the instructions that you will see on your screen. And if you prefer to not to use your fingerprint for now, then of course you can skip as well. So let's do that. Now we also have the information about the Google Assistant. And then if you scroll all the way down, then you should unlock two buttons, one on the left and one on the right. So it depends if you actually want to use the Google Assistant. If you want to use the assistant, then of course you can press I agree button. If not, then you can skip. I'm gonna skip since I don't use the Google Assistant at all. And then we have access your assistant without unlocking your device. And of course, this is the same thing. If we want to, if we use Google Assistant, then we can agree to that. If not, then we have the skip text on the left side. If you use the Google Pay account, then you can add your card. If not, then once again, we can skip. So for now, I'm not gonna set up my Google Pay. We can proceed with the configuration. And that's pretty much it. Now we have the initial setups done. All right, so another thing that we can do is make sure that the Bluetooth is disabled when we don't use it. Most of the time when we start using our new smartphone, the Bluetooth feature is enabled. So in the settings, we can go to connected devices, and over here we can choose connection preferences, and here we can find the Bluetooth. And like I said, most of the time this is enabled. If we don't use Bluetooth at the specific moment, we can turn it off in order to save our battery. At the same time, we can open the quick toggles, and over here we should also find Bluetooth. So if it's enabled, then by default it is blue. So we can tap Bluetooth in order to turn it off. All right, now let's go back once again. Let's keep going back. Let's go back to the main settings menu. And now we also can do some things for saving some battery. So you want to find a battery option in the settings. And once we enter over here, we have the battery saver option. So let's go to battery saver. And of course, if you want to, you can enable battery saver and have it enabled all the time. And what it does is, for instance, enable the dark theme, although we can turn it off over here. So if you prefer to use the light mode all the time, even with the battery saver, then of course over here you can enable and disable the dark theme. And this dark theme, of course, is applied only when you have the battery saver enabled. So let's turn it off for now. We can also enable automatic battery saver when we have low battery. So over here it says start battery saver automatically when battery is at 10%. So whenever our battery reaches 10%, then our smartphone can automatically turn on the battery saver. So of course, this is personally what I like to do. Some other devices have different percentages. In this case, it is 10%. And we can also schedule our battery saver. So for instance, we can set up for the night. We can turn on this option follow schedule. And then the battery saver will be enabled between 1 AM and 6 AM. We can also enter this option in order to adjust the start and end time. So let's choose start, and then we can choose the specific time that we want to the smartphone to enable the battery saver. This is not what I like to do, so I don't enable the scheduled battery saver, but low battery is always recommended in order to keep our battery for longer if it's at low percentage. And of course, we can also make sure that the background activity is limited when smartphone decides that it can limit. You can also quickly reach the battery saver option by once again going to quick toggles, and then if we scroll down, move to the second page. Over here we should have the battery saver, so we can turn on and off the battery saver manually really easily. Now let's go back, and this time we're gonna go once again to network and internet. And this step now is for those that have limited access to the internet on their mobile data. So we can apply the data warning and limit if needed. So in the network and internet, we can go to mobile network, then we can choose our network. And then over here, we will find some information about the usage of our mobile data. And if it's enabled, if you have mobile data enabled over here, we have data warning and limit option. So we can tap over here, then we can set up the data warning, and below that we have the amount of data that we can pretty much daily use before we receive the warning. So this is the daily limit that we want to apply. Of course, we can change from gigabytes to megabytes, and we can also change the value. And whenever we exceed 2 gigabytes daily, then we will receive a warning. We can also set up the data usage or the limit for data usage, and then we can choose the amount of data that we want to use daily once again, and we can set up closer to those 2 gigabytes. So let's say we're gonna choose 3. So when we receive when we exceed 2 gigabytes, then we will be notified about it, and when we exceed 3 gigabytes, then we will set up the data limit. The next thing that I want to show you is the adaptive brightness. So in the settings, we want to go to display, and then in the display over here we have brightness options. And if you are not a fan of adaptive brightness, then we can turn it off really easily over here. And then we have the brightness level here, so we can tap, and then at the top over here we can move the slider to make the screen darker or brighter. So this is up to the personal preference. I'm gonna set it up to, let's say, 76, maybe a little bit more. There we go. So now the brightness of the screen is manual, and it won't change by itself. However, like I said, this is personal preference, and of course we can also once again go to quick toggles, open that up, and here at the top we also have the slider for the brightness. Now let's go back. We also can adjust the screen timeout. So this is the time of inactivity of our smartphone, and once we reach that time, the screen will be pretty much turned off. So we can adjust the default 1 minute to let's say 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, or even 30, or we can make it shorter, and after 15 seconds of inactivity, the screen can turn off by itself. We also have option called screen attention, which prevents your screen from turning off if you're looking at it. Of course, sometimes the smartphone can falsely detect that, and it might not work properly. So it's up to you if you want to use it or not. While still being in the display settings, we can also turn on dark theme, which is of course separate from the dark theme that is applied with the battery saver. So this one is, let's call it all the time. So if you want to have dark theme all the time, then here's how you can turn it on. And of course, after that, we have some settings related to the display, personalized themes and stuff. We can adjust the size and text of the display. We can also adjust the font style. We have also the layout for the home screen. So here we can go through these settings one by one in order to personalize our smartphone as much as possible. We also have the refresh rate. So if you want to constantly use 60 Hz or 90 Hz, then here's how you can turn it on. However, of course, keep in mind that if you, for instance, use 90 Hz all the time, then the battery will be consumed definitely more than in the case of 60 Hz. And we have the screensaver. We can adjust the screensaver over here. So lots of personalizing settings. Once again, in the settings, we can also scroll down to find the location option. So if you prefer to not use location all the time, you can turn it off over here. Of course, we will be notified that device location for all apps is turned off, and you may not be able to locate your device if it's lost. So we can close it in order to keep the location off. And of course, we can turn it on back again if needed. And of course, whenever app will be required to use the location, you will be notified about it. In the settings, we can also go down to find an option called security and privacy. And once we go there, we will have information about the security of our smartphone. If we go down over here, we have settings, and we have such options as app security, device unlock, where we can set up the screen lock or the fingerprint over here. So I'm not gonna set them right here, but nevertheless, you have the option to do that over here. We have the account security, which we have where we have the information about the protection of our Google account. We have device finders and system and updates. So over here, it is also recommended to take a look in order to make sure that everything is up to date. And if not, then we can adjust them over here. And last but not least, or actually the second to last thing, is the quick toggle. So if we swipe from the top to the bottom, then of course we can customize whatever we have over here. Here we have the pen icon, we can tap on it in order to decide what we want to use. Over here at the bottom, if you scroll down, we have hold and drag to add tiles. So over here we have a bunch of options that are not in the quick toggles by default. So for instance, we can, let's say, choose the dark theme. We can hold it and then drag it over here in order to have it in the quick toggle. So after that, if we make the changes, we can go back and then we can scroll through pages in order to find our dark theme option over here. So you can have some spend some time in the customization over here in order to adjust them and have them as you wish them to be. Now let's go back, and finally I also want to show you the option to disable Google Feed. So if we are in the home screen and then if we swipe to see the left page, you will most likely see the Google Feed. If you're not a fan of it, then you can turn it off. So let's once again go to the settings, and this time we're gonna go to home and lock screen, then choose home settings, and then at the bottom we have swipe access. If we tap on it, then we can choose if you want to have Google Feed or nothing. I'm gonna choose nothing. And if we do that and we go back, exit the settings, then if I try to swipe, you will see that I no longer have access to the Google Feed. So that's about it. These are, I would say, essentials about customizing your smartphone for the first time. And thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and see you in my next videos. Bye.